Imagine walking into your own luxury hotel and being laughed at, dismissed, and treated like trash by your own staff because of the color of your skin and the way you dress. That's exactly what happened to her, a black woman CEO returning, in disguise to test the very people she trusted. What happened next? It shocked the entire hotel industry. But before we dive in, make sure to subscribe now if you believe in justice, hidden power, and sweet revenge. This story is one you'll never forget. It was a rainy Tuesday morning in Manhattan when Vanessa Blake stepped out of her town car wearing old sneakers, faded jeans, a weathered raincoat, and a floppy knitted hat that hid her signature silk-pressed curls. Her usually commanding posture was now slightly hunched, and her confidence masked beneath practiced uncertainty. To any onlooker, she looked like a woman down on her luck. But what no one at the Blake Regent Hotel knew that day was this: the woman being ignored in the lobby was not just a guest, she was the owner, not just any owner. Vanessa had built this five-star sanctuary from nothing, out of sweat, loss, and determination. But after taking a 2-month sabbatical to care for her ailing mother and finalize an overseas investment, she wanted to see if the culture she worked so hard to establish had held up, and she didn't want red carpet treatment. She wanted truth, raw and unfiltered. What she got instead was humiliation. "Ma'am," said Lila at the front desk with forced politeness and a subtle eye roll, "we don't offer free tours. This is a luxury property. We don't do walk-ins." "Oh, walk-ins. There's a hostile 3 blocks down that might suit your budget." The lobby security guard, Denny, chuckled and stepped forward. "You heard her. You're blocking the line." Guests around her glanced curiously, but quickly looked away. Vanessa felt something boil inside her, but she nodded and thanked them. Quietly, "I'll just take a look around." She walked off slowly, unseen by most, but watching everything. In the hallway near the spa, she heard something that tightened her chest. "Did you see her?" "Looked like she crawled out of a subway station," one of the spa attendants said, laughing behind a counter. "If Vanessa Blake were here, heads would roll," said another. "Good thing she's too busy living rich somewhere in Dubai." Little did they know they were talking about her. Every insult was a dagger. But Vanessa didn't flinch. She documented everything: faces, names, tones. She took the elevator up to the penthouse, her penthouse, but the keycard didn't work. Of course, it wouldn't. The suite was reserved for an obnoxious tech bro who recently went viral for berating service staff. She asked the housekeeper on that floor for a towel, just as a test. The woman looked her up and down and scoffed. "You know this floor's not for people like you, right?" Vanessa bit her tongue. "People like me?" "Yeah, wanderers. We don't want complaints from our premium guests." That was it. Vanessa turned slowly, calmly walked to the nearest staff corridor, and vanished down the stairs. She had seen enough. And tomorrow she would return not in disguise, but in full force. The next morning was crisp, sunlit, and felt like destiny. Vanessa emerged from the back of her limo in a tailored navy power suit, with her signature red bottom heels clicking against the marble floor of the hotel's entrance. Her hair was styled in soft waves, and her diamond-studded pin-shaped like a phoenix gleamed proudly on her lapel. She didn't need to announce who she was. Those who mattered knew her. But most of the staff didn't even recognize her from the day before. They stared, confused, as the same nobody from yesterday walked in like royalty. Lila at the front desk blinked and turned pale. Denny, the security guard, muttered, "No way." "Yes way," Vanessa said, catching his eye as she passed. "You might want to get your manager." Lila fumbled for the phone, whispering frantically. But it was too late. Vanessa was already in the executive lounge, where Marcus Hale, the hotel's interim general manager, was schmoozing with a wealthy investor. When he saw her, his jaw nearly hit the floor. "Ms. Blake." We weren't expecting, obviously. Her voice was smooth but commanding, and yet I came. Shall we talk? Marcus swallowed hard and followed her to the boardroom. What happened in the next hour became legendary. Vanessa laid out the receipts. Not financial ones, though she had those too. She had security footage pulled, audio clips, eyewitness accounts, every single incident, every disrespectful comment, every staff member who mocked her, denied her basic dignity, or shamed her for how she looked. This, she said, dropping a thick folder onto the table, is the real state of my hotel. Marcus stuttered, sweating. We didn't know it was you. That's the problem, Vanessa snapped. Shouldn't have had to be me to get decent treatment. A silence hung in the room. Then she delivered the blow. Effective immediately, you're dismissed. And not just you, she handed over a list of names: managers, spa staff, front desk workers, even Denny. We're doing a full ethics overhaul, and we're bringing in new leadership. Compassionate, inclusive, excellent leadership. Because this is not just a hotel, this is a legacy. My legacy. As Marcus was escorted out, she turned to the investor who'd watched everything unfold. Still interested? The man stood, smiled, and shook her hand. More than ever. By lunchtime, word had spread through every floor. The woman they mocked was the queen they served. And now she was back with a vengeance and a vision. Within a week, the culture of the Blake Regent Hotel began to transform. Vanessa installed a redemption floor, a program where previously dismissed staff could reapply under strict conditions: full retraining, community service, and public acknowledgement of past behavior. Some scoffed. Others, like the housekeeper who had insulted her, plied with tears and humility. I didn't know what I was doing, she confessed during a one-on-one with Vanessa. But now I do. And I want to change, Vanessa nodded. Then prove it. Meanwhile, the lobby was redone. Not just redecorated, but restructured. Now, beneath the sparkling chandelier stood a grand bronze plaque with the words, "Every guest deserves dignity." From the penthouse to the sidewalk. Guests noticed, so did the media. News outlets ran headlines like, "Black CEO shocks industry with undercover test of hotel culture," and how Vanessa Blake just changed hospitality forever. Celebrities began booking rooms not just for luxury, but to support the mission. Vanessa hosted forums on racial equity in service industries and opened scholarships for hospitality students from marginalized communities. But the best part? Watching former employees become champions of change. Lila, the receptionist, returned under the redemption program. She completed diversity training, volunteered at a women's shelter, and led a new onboarding program focused on empathy. Vanessa didn't forget what had happened, but she believed in growth. And growth was now embedded in the Blake brand. On the hotel's anniversary, Vanessa hosted a gala in the freshly renovated Legacy Suite, once reserved only for the ultra-elite. Now open to heroes in the community: firefighters, teachers, nurses, former foster children who had made it. The room buzzed with joy, love, and gratitude. At the event, Vanessa took the mic. "A year ago," she began, "I walked into this hotel as a stranger. I was mocked, dismissed, disrespected, not because of who I was, but because of what I looked like." A hush fell over the crowd. But today, I stand in the same place, surrounded by people who remind me that greatness doesn't always wear designer shoes. Sometimes, greatness wears overalls, scrubs, aprons, and yes, even a raincoat. Applause, tears. She pointed toward a young black girl in the front row. No more than 8 years old, eyes wide with wonder. To every girl who's been overlooked, build anyway. Lead anyway. And when they laugh, when they doubt you, let your work roar. The girl beamed. The guests rose in a standing ovation. Vanessa smiled and stepped back. It wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about legacy. She had turned humiliation into honor, mockery into a movement, and her hotel, once a den of hidden bias, into a beacon of grace and excellence. And so, the Blake Regent wasn't just a place to stay. It was a place to awaken. It's a place where no one ever again would be judged by the shoes they wore but by the heart they carried.